Hi everyone, I hope you're doing fine and having a great time wherever you are. However, no one does really doing alright in such crazy and critical circumstances on this beautiful planet. Anyways, also thank you so very much for all your lovely comments and messages, and please forgive me if I'm not able to reply you all. And that's it. And tonight I'm gonna have a conversation with one of the most creative guitarists, singer, songwriter, and photographer. He's an amazing musician and I love his job. So, here in Australia, his name is Lewis Villani. He's a great musician. He's very unique. And after I finish my conversation with him, actually, you can start following him on Instagram, and if you're interested to find out more, you can actually check his website. And also, if you're interested to listen to his songs, also you're able to find him actually through his work and his songs through Spotify and also his other social platforms. Let me ask him to join me for a conversation. Hello, Paul. How are you doing?
Good, thank you, Borna. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you very much for being here tonight with me, and I really appreciate that. So before we're gonna start our conversation, would you like to say to those who are watching us?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. It's going to be an interesting ride because I don't know what the questions are going to be, and I've been told it's going to be a very interesting chat. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. So how are you doing in such a crazy, weird, and strange situation where we're all struggling with such a nowadays? How you're able to manage coping with this?
Yeah, look, I think the most logical thing for us at this time is putting our family first. I've got young children and I've got very old grandparents, so they have to be very much isolated from us. And we've obviously got the kids at home at the moment. So the grandparents that are alive, we take them shopping, we leave it on the porch, we wave at them through the window and stay away from them. It's sad. It's sad, but due to technology, the kids are still able to get in contact with them via, FaceTime and things like that. So there's a small positive. Work-wise, I'm lucky enough to work within Victorian government, so I'm working from home. But that has its own challenges as well. And I think for mankind, this is a really unusual and stressful time. But I think if we do the right thing, we'll be better for it.
Absolutely. Well, it's very strange and very strange, actually, situation for anybody really here. Not only the whole planet.
The whole planet, exactly right. We're in it together. It's definitely something we've got to live through and fight through.
Yeah. Anyways, I've written lots of questions here for you. Anyways, I was reading about you and I found that your parents migrated in Australia years ago. But you were born here in Australia, am I right?
That's correct.
Okay. And my question is, didn't you feel strange when you were growing up in Australia to have parents with different accent, with different backgrounds? And the reason that I'm asking you, because Australia is one of the most multicultural countries, and as an interpreter, I've been working with asylum seekers and refugees over the past almost 7 years, and I've noticed that when the children who were born in Australia with and their parents are from different, from somewhere else, when they're growing up, there is not much connection between them with their parents. In particular, if their parents are quite traditional or uneducated. How was that experience for you?
I'd have to say that my experience was rather positive because mum and dad were slightly traditional, but progressive. My grandparents that came here as well from Italy, very much traditional, didn't speak English, stuck to their language, stuck to their ways. That was their way. Mum and dad join the workforce as soon as I arrived in Australia. And very much Dad took on the Australian way of life. For me, it was about, and hearing my parents speak about how lucky we were to be in this country because of the opportunities afforded to people that come here from somewhere else. So I grew up loving my environment, loving my country, and loving what it offered my parents and grandparents. There was obviously a time of adjustment in school. The term WOG was used every day of my life, and it was just something I learned to embrace. It was my background. I was proud of it, and I enjoyed fighting for it. It was just one of those things that as a teenager growing up, you either learn to embrace or fight against it. And I embrace it. I still do. I love Australia, but I love my background.
Yes. All right. Okay. That's very cool. So, what do you think about the music industry in Australia? And, well, and what are those obvious things that you've been struggling with as a musician, or let's say as an artist, over the past like few years working in this industry?
I can take you back a little bit further. So my very first pub show was as a 14-year-old in 1984. And I was in a band with people who are older than me, and we played to about, we've lost light.
That's all right.
Excuse me. Goodness me. Alrighty. So yeah, growing up as a teenager playing in bands, especially in Melbourne, you would, throughout the 80s, play to maybe 50, 60, 70 people on a bad night.
Yeah.
But the biggest things that changed was through the 90s, we had the pokies revolution. So they ended up putting pokies inside pubs and killed off a lot of live music. They started not allowing smoking in venues. So smoking became banned, less people went out. And nowadays, when you go to a venue, especially for live original music, you're lucky if there's 20 people there. And that's one of the hardest things we face as musicians across, not just Melbourne, across probably the whole country, is an audience to play to. That's the hardest part.
Why?
I don't know. I think maybe because music has become more accessible in the digital media. So you don't have to go out and physically purchase a disc to listen to someone. You don't have to go out to purchase something to see someone, because a lot of people are streaming live, or they've got Netflix, YouTube. People are on YouTube putting themselves up every day. So the contact with musicians is more frequent, but less personal.
Right.
And maybe that's probably what it might be. I have no answers. They're just theories about what's going on.
It's just sad.
It is sad, because for me, there's nothing like live performance. There's a magic, there's a quality in seeing an artist or a band deliver a performance that's just not even note perfect. It could be completely flawed, but if it's passionate, it's magical.
Well, that's really quite scary. That's what you're saying, because we have to talk nowadays. When we're talking, we have to say, well, we're talking about before coronavirus kicked into the planet, or after the coronavirus hopefully gone away. So, do you think, or do you believe actually it's going to have a huge impact on industry?
I think it'll have an impact across all industries, due to the fact that, I mean, I have friends that have lost work that work in the entertainment industry, and not just entertainers. We're talking about bartenders, people that work at restaurants, people that own bars. They've lost their income, they've lost their way of life. Some of these places are not going to reopen because they can't afford to pay rent, they can't afford to keep the places open. That's going to have a massive impact across not just music, but life in general.
Right. Can you put your phone a little bit up? I want to have your complete face, please. Thank you. Better, much better. Yes.
Okay.
I reckon you're a tall man, so that's good.
I am.
That's all right. I want to read you a statement that I'm unsure if you've been aware of. Have you, or did you know that singing is forbidden for women in Iran, the country where I was born and where I came from? And in recent years, female singers can have concert only for women audiences. And even recently, one of the female singers got summoned over solo performance, and she had to attend the court, but she had to flee the country forever. And however, since the revolution happened in Iran back in 1979, a large number of Iranian male and female singers and actor and actress actually migrated to different countries. They went to Europe. And what is your impression about what you've just heard?
You're talking about a Westerner here, so it's sad. For me, it has an impact on me feeling disappointed and sorry for these people that have to experience that. I take singing for granted. I take guitar playing for granted, and I take any sex doing it for granted because it's just a gift that we have as people. And to not be able to share that or experience that, I think is difficult. And I think it's sad that people have to leave their country of origin to try and achieve that, because to leave your base, to leave your family, it's not an easy thing to do. And to try and achieve your goal, or just to express yourself creatively, it's not easy. So I do feel sorry for people that have to do that.
And if you were in the same situation, you were born in the country, let's forget about Iran, but if you were born in a different country that you had to face with lots of censorship, you know, regarding of the job that you were doing, like as an actor, as a filmmaker, or as a singer, would you leave your motherland forever because of your passion?
Okay, so you're talking to a 50-year-old here who's more settled.
I did 15 years ago. I did 15 years ago, and I never returned. I'm not allowed to go back to my country. So that's
right.
Yeah, go on, sorry.
No, look, you're speaking to a 50-year-old who's now got reservations and fears and family, his own children, that would be hard to leave. But an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old, the way I was passionate about my craft, about music and about photography, yeah, I would have left. I think to pursue something that makes you complete, you have to do that.
Yeah. I've known lots of talented Iranian women who've got amazing voice, but unfortunately they can't do it unless they're in private, and that's very, very sad. However, I had a conversation with one of them. It's called Hana Kamkar. She's quite well known, and her family's got they're quite popular and famous people, and they're all musicians and amazing. What is your style of music? Because I was listening to them and I couldn't, but I want like. It hits there a lot, and I love it. But I want to know, I'm asking you this question for those who may not familiar with your work, because I've got thousands of followers that are watching us from different parts of the world, and I want to know, talk to me about that.
Okay, so let's say I grew up loving rock and roll. So the easiest thing to say is that I play rock and roll. And I find it a lot easier to play rock and roll in a band. But when I'm writing for myself as a solo artist, I usually write very acoustically, sometimes more mellow. But I love music, and I love any music that can be played with a guitar. And whether that's a Bob Dylan song played on one acoustic guitar, or it's a Metallica song played in a stadium at full volume, I love it all. So I will write anything.
Okay. So are you working on any project at the moment? Maybe at the moment, because you've got lots of free time and you can write a thing or whatever you want. So tell me.
So it's easy for me to say I'm constantly writing. I never stop writing. It's something that I love doing. I feel at home creating. But at the moment, Devil's Kiss is the hard rock heavy metal band I'm part of. And we've just finished recording our first single. And that was released on February 28th. and we've got a second single written and ready to record. And once COVID-19 moves out the way, we'll progress with that.
Okay, fantastic. And I've known you're a photographer. You've got your Instagram page as a photographer as well. Am I right?
Yeah.
I was going to like trade and amazing. How have you been doing photography for, and why photography? Like, tell me.
Okay, so Mum was never a professional photographer, but my mother always had a camera in her hand, and she was always the family's official photographer. So
Right.
I got my passion obviously through there. Throughout the years of say 2000 to 2010, I did photography not full time but part time.
Right.
And I explored that medium as a way creatively, and also professionally. I was lucky enough to have a few solo exhibitions. I've had my work exhibited in China, in Los Angeles, and in Spain. So I've been lucky to have that. But it's just another creative outlet for me now. It's just a way for me to, I see a lot of things as a photo. And my children walk with me sometimes and they go, oh, there goes Dad again, taking another photo. When I see objects, I see everything as a photo.
What does usually inspire you as a photographer, not a musician, to do photography?
Photography, especially now, to me, black and white is just a beautiful way to represent the world, because the world is busy, it's chaotic.
Sorry, you were cutting off. Sorry, what you were saying?
That's okay. No, I love to shoot and process in black and white, because for me the world is chaotic, it's busy, it's colourful, it's bright, it's amazing. And for me to simplify it down into two colours, I just like to see the world like that. So that's where I am with my photography at the moment. And I very rarely cross the two. So music and photography are apart, but I do a lot of photography of guitars. So if you look through my artwork, you'll see a lot of guitars in my photography.
Well, wonderful. Why not? So, okay. So you've got your own laboratory for photography and also your music studio set up at home?
Yep. I've got both in this little 3-meter room of mine. There's a lot of stuff.
I love your background. What is that in your background? Is it? It's
a mandala I put together about 15 years ago. It's just called Inspirations. It's just a little pictures of people that I love, people that have inspired me, and I turned it into a mandala, and that's what it looks like.
Okay, fantastic, great. What do you expect from Australian government as an artist in the field that you're working? Like, if you want to, like, have an exhibition of your photography, so is that easy? The government's like, there you go, it's funding, and or not? It's not like that.
There for a moment.
That's right. You've heard my whole question?
Yeah, look, I've never gone down the path of seeking financial help from the government with photography or any other creative pursuit. I've always been in the position where I've worked and achieved through what I've saved. And I've never gone to study these things. So I've never been a student of photography or music. I've gone through university and chased it through there. In saying that, I kind of wish I would have, because it may have accelerated my learning and made me a better creative person. But I don't know if governments do enough, because I've never sought it out.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, because young people, or like who want to there are like a large number of creative people here in Australia. It's not easy for them to get a fund. You know, they have to always find a sponsor. They have to. I've got lots of musician friends, and you know, everyone just struggle. You cannot live as an artist just as an artist. You know what I mean? You can just not live that, because it's very difficult. in particular in nowadays that everything is online and the competition is extremely high.
Is it ever? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, when I think about the years before children, so after children, your life kind of changes a little bit. But when music was my sole passion, I would write with a band, whatever, go for a tour, end up back in Melbourne, broke, and go and wash dishes somewhere, go and peel potatoes somewhere else, push a trolley somewhere, whatever it took to make money to fund my next musical project, I'd do it. Didn't matter what it was. And sometimes I'd have to work 2 jobs. That's how I go.
Absolutely. Sorry, people send me question. Let me just ask. How old were you when you started working as a musician? Did you, sorry, the first question, and the second one is that did you go to uni for that, or? Okay.
Yeah, okay, so my first real paid show as a musician was as a 16-year-old. I think my father got me a job on one of the boats that do cruises up and down the Yarra, and I would play classical guitar in the background while the diners ate on the boat. So that was probably my first paid show. Yeah.
Such a peaceful environment to start.
It was. It was a bit difficult for a 16-year-old because I just wanted to play rock and roll. But my father was like, no, go and earn some money.
Well, yeah. This is very funny, actually. It's not very funny. I don't know if it's funny, it's sad, or whatever. So as a filmmaker, when I meet up with immature filmmakers, most of them got like a big image that everyone wants to start making film like a full-length film, rather just starting practicing. Everyone is like they don't believe the cinema is like you can become a really good filmmaker if you're just gonna start practicing like 5 minutes in a short film. Everyone wants but
I think human beings will want to shoot for the stars rather than building a ladder to get there.
Exactly.
And I think when you're young, you don't appreciate the process of achieving those goals. All you want to do is achieve the goal. Whereas you can only look back as an older person and realize the journey is what creates you as an individual and as a creative person. So the journey, doing those small things, is vital to your development as an individual, a human, and a creative person.
Absolutely. And yeah, well, you're absolutely right. So my last question to all those I talk to is about solidarity. So I want to know that what's the meaning of solidarity for you or to you?
You are speaking to an only child. So solidarity to me is peace. I'm very comfortable alone. I'm very comfortable in my own space. It's obvious in things I choose to pursue, like my favorite sports are golf and tennis, things you can play on your own or singularly. So solidarity, whilst it might mean something in depth and more powerful to other human beings, for me it's peace. I do find peace in solidarity.
What about in nowadays that everyone should follow the same rule to get out of this situation?
As in COVID-19?
Mm-hmm.
It's for the betterment of mankind, it's necessary. Even though you might want to do something individual and stand apart, but sometimes you need to pull together and do something as a team for the betterment of your community and the betterment of your people.
Thank you. And now I want to ask you a favor. And you know what that is. So would you please play a sign for those who are watching us right now before I'm going to wrap up this conversation?
Sure, I'd love to. No worries.
I'm just going to sit back and enjoy. You can play too, or whatever.
Don't tempt me. We could be here for another hour.
There you go.
Alrighty.
No, you can turn off the light if you like. It doesn't matter.
Have some more mood lighting, yeah. Alrighty. I'm climbing the staircase to the top of my loneliness. With each step I betray him, there's painful distance. Love can conquer a mountain, a hand from which to fall into the arms of helplessness. Only your name I call. And now I feel like an endless night, waiting for my sunrise. And so this is what it's like to miss this angel of mine. Just send me off in a package, address me to your hotel, put it all down in an email. Won't bring your touch to my soul. Won't bring touch to my soul. I'm at peace with disappointment, yet found a place in my soul. I'm accustomed to second place, through no faults of my own. What about my feelings? Have they got the right to show into the arms of helplessness? Only your name I call. Now I feel like an endless night, waiting for my sunrise. And so this is what it's like to miss this angel of mine. Now I feel like an endless night, waiting for my sunrise. So this is what it's like to miss this angel of mine. Miss this angel of mine.
Thank you so very much. So, do you want to
pleasure.
tell me a little bit about the song, please? What was
Yes.
the name?
It was Miss This Angel of Mine. It was written in 2004, released as a single around that time. It's a love song. It's about missing someone you care for. When you spend that first 3 to 6 months with someone, it's intense. You discover all about each other. And then the first time you get to spend some time apart, that's the sort of song that comes from that.
Well done. That was very meaningful.
Yeah.
Well, Paul, thank you so very much for being here. And it was such a pleasure talking to you tonight. And do you want to say goodbye to those who are watching us?
Yes. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time. And if you do go and check out my music on my website, thank you again. My website is www.paullewisvillani.com. And thank you again. Hopefully, we'll see you when I play live somewhere. That'd be great.
Definitely. Did you like our conversation?
It was wonderful. It was lovely to meet you.
Love to meet you too. Thank you very much. All right. I want to say goodbye to you, and then I will talk to you later.
Will do. Thanks again.
You're
Take care
welcome.
and stay
You're
well.
welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so very much for watching us. It was an amazing conversation. I really enjoyed the conversation with Paul. Please look after yourself, stay at home, and please share your feedback with me, but don't expect me to get back to you very quickly. So I receive lots of messages every day. Have a wonderful day, night, and try your best to look after yourself and your family and stay home. Take care.